Oh my goodness, we are live, Friday Night Live. And I need to scooch over this way a little bit. I've been moving everything around. I was pre-show trying to get set up, and somehow I muted my microphone, which I should probably bring closer into the picture so I can get talking to everybody. And couldn't figure out where it was muted at. And it's, if you tap the top, I don't know how it got muted, but hey, that's the way it goes. Showtime. Tonight, yes, we're back again with the third Gramps Live this week. Tonight, we have a special guest, a guest I've been wanting to get on, oh man, for a hot minute. Man, good story. But before we get to our guests, let's take a minute, catch our collective breath, get fired up for Friday Night Live right here on Fishing with Gramps YouTube. Let's take a moment. And I got to tell y'all, I was talking in the chat for a second ago. I had to stop a little bit ago and take a minute because Gran is up in Indy and she is at my grandbabe Sky's talent show there at the school. And her and a little friend of hers were doing some gymnastics. So when I could have been getting set up, I was taking a minute to be grampy to my grandbabes and watch their gymnastics routines and the girls having an awesome time. And then I'll follow that up with them coming home tonight with Gran, and then we pick up number 3 tomorrow, and we have all 3 grandbabes in the house for hooting and hollering tomorrow. So I figured it's a good time to get on for a light. So let me tell you a little bit about tonight's guest. Jeremy and I, Matt, we're all down at the KIKAK Bass Fishing National Championship. And we got down there a little bit before. We got, a bed and breakfast. We picked a cove, studied some maps. We're just like, we're going to go fish and have a good time. Whatever happens, happens. We really want to go and meet cool people. And that we did. But before you get to meet the cool people that you get to talk to tonight, let me roll back through the chat real fast because now Gramps is back on StreamYard. Restream just wasn't cutting it. And it really... It set me over the edge when we had Alex Rudd on Wednesday night, and I couldn't see a single comment come across from any of the feeds, even though Alex and Jeremy could. And I was like, you know what? I gave these guys a chance. I wanted the 1080p streaming so you can see my pretty mug in high quality definition. I am here to serve you. Okay, I was doing it for Jeremy. But, we got to... I can't deal with substandard software. And then the fact that even though I got 1080p, I didn't have the giveaway tool anymore. So after Wednesday night, I was so frustrated with it that I didn't keep the show going much more than an hour, even though when you're talking to Alex Rudd, you can talk for days when it comes to fishing stuff. And we probably could have done a 4-hour stream that night and it wouldn't have mattered. But I was ticked because the comments weren't working. This is an interactive show. I love having the fishing fam in here with us. So real quick, let's roll back, see who we got in the house tonight because we got to pay tribute. And we got to do it properly, especially with our members, those who join the fishing fam, trying to contribute a little extra to keep Gramps in cameras and batteries and SD cards and the stuff that you need. And you know what? I'm going to take a moment, and I know we got guests, but it'll be worth it. I want you guys to know when you send in stuff and you join the channel, every little bit helps. We always say that, and we really mean it because YouTube don't pay. I make maybe $100 a month from what YouTube does over however many 100 videos. But when you guys join the channel and do the stuff and things, I buy stuff to make better videos in the next season. Right. So, that was number 1. Got a new action cam that maybe will not melt in the dang heat when we're trying to fish with people, because there's nothing worse than get out fishing and then having a corrupt SD card. And then to make it even better, now, this idea comes from the interaction that we had with tonight's guest. And it'll all make sense here in a minute when I talk about what we're going to be doing some in the coming season. So for folks like Scott and everybody, like Liz, Army Outdoors, everybody who joins the channel it all helps, because if I get just a few more bucks, it just makes it that much easier for me to go out and get stuff to upgrade and continue to bring you guys, the content that you're here for. And so I invested what you guys, what you give to me all through last year with the memberships and everything. That's where that money goes. And that's, I'm taking every little bit that you guys send to me along with what I put into the pot over the however many years. But again, I'm investing in what you guys are doing, here. So again, welcome Sly Fox, everybody and their brother in the house. I love Daniel Pierce. I love all you guys popping in. We got Mr. Gambit 2000 popping in too. You got to love that. But again, thank you again to all of our members. It just makes that much of a difference. If you're watching a video and you like what you saw on the screen, they've even given me the option to add a little cheer button if you want to throw a little tip my way. So again, it ain't about always raising money, but I want you guys to know when you send stuff in, this is where it's going, is to fund the probably grand I got sitting right there to put a camera in the air, one in front of me, and then do some wireless interviews. So now enough of all that chit chat. Let's get back to who I got sitting in the green room. Jeremy and I we're out there fishing. Matt was across the lake playing in the wind. And we were sitting on the lake trying to figure out where we were going to fish. And we were just chilling around a point. And he had gone down the bank and I would just stop. And I was sitting there fishing and lady in a kayak comes around the corner. And I'm like, how you doing? And we just struck up conversation. I think we were both just killing time, waiting for everybody that we were fishing with to come back in. And man, we had a blast. First of all, I just can't even wait. We got to get Jeremy and Lynn in here. I tell you what, let me tell you all this story. And then I'm going to have her tell you guys the story she told me, because it was so fascinating. So first of all, I want the fishing fam, everybody say hi, Lynn.
Hey guys.
There we go. So Lynn and I just got to talking, and I can't even remember what we were talking about. I bet we sat there for 2 hours. But the thing that got me the most, and this is why I love, and I tell everybody as far as I can shout it to the mountaintops, the thing that I love the most about kayak bass fishing is the community, the family of people that go do this. Jeremy and I will tell you for years that we would go out and fish boat tournaments. Nobody's going to tell you where they're fishing or what they're catching them on or what they're throwing. Even just sit around and talk about gear. Everybody's all hush, hush. The kayak bass fishing community is not that way. And so Lynn and I were just killing time talking. And then after a while, Jeremy came rolling in and we got to talking. And then we really got to ask her, how she got into kayak fishing or how she got started into fishing at all. So Lynn, how did you get started even fishing the very first time? How did that all kick off for you?
Well, let's start this off by saying I never had an interest in fishing. So I had a 5-year-old little boy, I think about four. And he said, I want to go fishing. I want to go fishing. I want to go fishing. And I said, I don't know anyone that fishes. Don't know what to do. I have no clue. So that was still prior to the time of real good YouTube. And I was like, I can look up on the internet, and I saw how to tie a hook and went out and bought a little cheap Walmart rod. And I said, all right, let's go fishing. And we went to a little pond. And my son, Alex Miller, he always had this love for outdoors. So we always did everything outdoors. And he fell in love. So we just start going every day after work. Every weekend, I would drive 2 hours to go fishing. And we would drive 2 hours to a lake and come back. And we fished all the time. Well, it went from the first, maybe year or two until he really learned how to read. And when he learned how to read, then he taught me the rest of it. But we ended up falling in love with fishing. It was so relaxing. We went, and when I say we went 6 days a week, we went 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And if it was, I bought a portable grill at that time, and we would go up to the little lake, and we would have our dinner there. And I would cook while he fished so that there was no waste of time. And then he said to me one day, hey, this pond thing, and our friends owned a boat, and he ended up fishing with FLW. He was on the docks, and FLW comes in behind us, and they say, hey, if you move and let us squeak behind your dock, we'll tell you what we were throwing. So I said, okay. So he did that, and we went to our first FLW, I think when he was probably 8. Wow. And he says to me, that's what I'm going to do when I grow up. And I laughed, and I said, nobody fishes for a living, son. I said, this is not a career. And I said, you need to have a real job. And he's like, no, I'm going to fish for a living. And I said, no, like I said again. So we kept on this pond thing, and he was really into crappie and bluegill, and that's all we did is fish, fish. And my friends were like, okay, what happened to you? Where'd this come from? I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of enjoyable. I enjoy being out there. I like, and most of the time I'm like looking all around because I like being in the outdoors.
Yeah.
So he says to me, hey, I found a kayak tournament. And he goes, there's this guy who does kayak tournaments. And I'm like, yeah, who would that be? And he goes, there's this guy named Chad Hoover. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then he did some research, and he found a local club up in Pennsylvania. And he said, I'd like to go fish this. And I'm like, you do know you've never fished for just bass. Right. And I said, this is a bass tournament. You're a little more crappie. And he goes, no. I'd like to go. I said, all right. So I go and I buy him for Christmas, a cheap kayak, a little sit-in, $400 piece of crap.
I think we've all had that kayak, either in red or blue.
Well, I actually got the hunter green, and it is still hanging to this day in my garage.
Goodness.
And I said, all right, I'll buy you this kayak. This ain't going to be something you like, believe me. So he goes out, and I'm like, okay. So I sign him up, and they go, well, we won't allow him on the trail. He's 16. I was like, come again? You have to be with him. I was like, oh, no. I was like, see, I sit on shore, and he's planning on going out there. They're like, you're really going to have to be with him. So I was like, all right. So I buy the same sit-in kayak. I'm going to do this. And he goes out, and he's like placing 3rd, 2nd, 4th against these guys that are pretty good. And I'm like, okay, so you must really like this, right? And he's like, I love it. So it didn't even go 2 months. Oh, and we go to Florida, and he goes, Mom, I got this really good thing. There's this national event in Florida. I'm like, we're going to drive to Florida, and I forget the trail. It's no longer in running anymore. But there was going to be like 120 some people down there. And I was like, I'm not doing this. Well, I had to go to a lawyer on this trail, made me go to a lawyer and have a lawyer sign that I was going to accompany him. I'm like, this ain't good.
I didn't sign up for this.
No, I never signed up for that part. So we go to Florida in these sit-in kayaks, and he comes in 9th place. Wow. And I'm like, how are you 16 and you're in this little kayak? He had 2 rods. I mean, we were still going. And I'm like, how? And he just had such a natural talent. So I bought him a sit-on kayak. We came home from Florida, and I went up and got him a Jackson sit on top. And I think
what year was this?
oh God, he was still 16. So he's 26 now. So yeah, quite some years ago, 10 years ago.
So 10 years ago, he's out there in a little Walmart special with 2 rods and places 9th.
Yeah.
Out of over 100 field of Bass Pros
And
at
I mean,
16 years
Drew
old.
Gregory was one of those ones in that field that time.
My
and
goodness.
he placed right under Drew Gregory. And there was like a quarter of an inch between the two. And I'll never forget it because I watched Drew Gregory's dog. And
Yep.
I babysat the dog and they were going out. And I was like, oh my. So we bought the sit on top and so he expanded and he was wanting to go to every tournament he could possibly go to. Well, of course, I still have to go along. And I'm sitting with one rod, still not knowing anything what to do. I'm just sat there just to look like I'm in passing time and doing this.
I'm here.
I'm here. And then I was like, oh, you know what? This fishing thing could be fun. And I started with a bobber. And I threw out my little bobber and I was fishing and I'd catch a bluegill and I'd be all happy. I'm like, oh, I got a bluegill. But at that time, I didn't touch fish. I refused to touch a fish. I refused to put bait on a fish, on a hook. I refused to do it all. Well, then.
So every time you caught a fish, he had to stop and come and.
I would go over with my fish and go, can you take my fish off? It was hysterical. I mean, it was absolutely hysterical. So then I was like, all right, he turns 18 and he goes, you do know you don't have to come with me no more. And I said, one tournament went by and I said, God, do I miss it? I said, there was something about it I miss.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, I'd like to still go. Is that okay? And he goes, well, I'm kind of done with you. He's like, I can't do you anymore. He's like,
you're gonna have to learn. You're gonna have to learn to take your own hooks out, huh?
Yeah, and he's like, you're going to have to figure this out. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna figure this out. So he gives me this crash course. I still get this rod, and there is one thing people laugh about this when they see me. I do reel. I hold my rod the opposite way. Spinning rod, I hold upside down. No matter what I do, I can't reel the other way. Even if we flip it to the other hand, we tried this. I said, Alex, I can't do it. And he goes, you look like an idiot out there. I said, but guess what? It works for me.
Yep.
So I said, if something's working for me and I'm comfortable with it, and obviously I'm catching fish, I said, who cares? Why does it always have to be the perfect way or the right way? I said, maybe there's another way. So we went through some tournaments and I was like, oh, this bass thing could get interesting and can become addictive. Well, you know what? What are we now? 8 years later, I'm on every trail with him. And I absolutely love it. Now, don't get me wrong. You know, I was just down in Florida and on Sunday, I caught one bass, and we have a no communication rules now with KBF.
Right.
And I caught a bass on my first bait caster on a jackhammer.
Oh,
you would have thought that the world, it was the best present. I was screaming over there. I was like, and I said, oh my God, if I run into him, I'm going to say something. I know I can't keep my mouth shut. Caught that bass, went back. I sat on the beach, kicked back. I enjoyed myself. I said, I'm not getting anyone in trouble. I'm not getting in trouble. I said, but I was just so happy.
Yeah.
You know, like, and there's been times where I've beat Alex in a tournament. I know he wouldn't want this to come out, but
well, you know.
Oh, I have. So, I mean, there's just such a love. And I've always taken it. I don't take it that serious. I do it because I absolutely love being out there. Yeah. And, you know, I get all Alex's hand-me-downs now. So I got some of the cooler stuff now in the industry, so I can seem like I know what I'm doing.
Now, not to make any assumptions, for those who don't know, her son is Alex Miller, who is now a traveling kayak bass pro that competes in the top trails, the top tournaments. What did he finish in the 10 a few years ago? Second. So he was runner up in the 10. And for those who are just, getting into kayak bass fishing, you've heard me, Jeremy, Matt, and others talk about the 10, the tournament that's going on. Our friend Glenn Landstrom that was down there, among others. And so her young son is now living his dream.
He is.
Tell us who's he sponsored by?
He is sponsored by Fish USA, is his main sponsor. Yak Lights, Dude Wipes, and I'm gonna miss somebody. There's somebody else. I know I should be. I'm technically his manager, but I think it's Yak Lights. We know Fish USA.
Yeah.
Yak Lights and Dude Wipes. I think that may be it at this point.
Okay. But so again, we've gone from 6-year-old little boy to 16-year-old little boy fishing his first, who's now a traveling sponsored pro, and he no longer needs a chaperone. But the greatest thing, and this is why Jeremy and I loved when we were sitting there chatting with you, because I've talked about how this channel literally got started because a single mom with a little boy who worked in a restaurant that my friend owned. She went fishing with her dad when she was little and now has her own son. And a couple of years ago, she's like, dude, I used to go fishing all the time. I know you fish. Would you? Why is my camera?
We're all good on this end, it seems like.
Yeah. I think he just froze up a little bit.
I think he did too. The host freezes.
Shoot. Yeah.
Yeah. And now he's gone.
He disappeared on us.
Am I back?
He is.
You're back.
Yeah, you're back.
I don't know why the power dropped out of my camera. It just kind of froze up and then dropped. And I was like, let me replug it back in. But anywho, sorry, folks, technical difficulties. But it's always something. I don't even remember what we were talking about. So anyway, again, I got started in this because she was just asking, hey, can you do me some basic videos on, and I literally did. I went to Walmart that night, picked up a Zedco, a bobber worm, and started the very first Fishing with Gramps video. Was basically for that single mom who was asking, folks, just asking for somebody to teach her how to fish. And she was like, I know you, I feel comfortable, talking to you, can you teach us how to go fishing? And Fishing with Gramps started up just because of that. And realistically, if we hadn't even started that, never would have found our way, into kayaks again and down to the national championship and just hanging out. And and like I told you while we were down there, our biggest goal was just to go meet cool people and people. You talk about Hoover and Gene Jensen and people we've seen on, YouTube. And, we just thought that was super cool. And then when I happened down the bank and you were sitting there and I'm sitting there going, oh man, she's top notch. She's in a Fish USA bona fide with a Torpedo, handling this kayak like it's second nature. I'm all blowing everywhere and drifting along. And you're sitting there with your paddle and your Torpedo, just perfectly executing turns. And I'm like, man, I got to be, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm up here with some, state champion who's going to come out here and whip my ass. And then we just get to talking. But I mean, you could tell that you've done this for so long now that it's second nature, that you yourself have become, a hell of an angler. And especially, I mean, like I said, I was telling Jeremy, Matt, I was like, dude, she just had that kayak and she was over here and like this, and I'd be drifting this way.
Night.
And I said,
yep.
I was like, she knows I'm new at this more or less, because I was still getting used to the control from my autopilot. But you were just, left, right, perfect little tunes, and we like kept the conversation no matter where I ended up. And But it's funny, you probably don't even think about that now because it's been over 10 years that everything you do is pretty much second nature, being in the kayak just for showing the love to your son and following him around, letting him pursue his dreams. And then you two have built like a hell of a team together, just
and
being out there.
everybody thinks, oh, you're always, and sometimes that would be the only time I would see him or have a chance to talk to him is when we would be on the water. Yeah. So it was a great way to always stay in touch with him, because everyone's just assumes, oh, they know they're always together. No, that's not the case. Yeah. You know, it is, that's when we come together is we fish, and that's where our stories and most of our talking is about fishing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, but that it's just such amazing. It's just I heard that and I was like, I've got to have you on.
And at that time, the videos weren't very good. You know, there wasn't a Fishing with Gramps. So I was looking at little diagrams, how to tie a hook and see, and putting a little bobber on. And I was like, well, let's just make the best out of this. And I am thankful that he had such a drive that he did get in a lot of trouble in school because, and his teachers now understand.
You got fish on the brain. I mean, it's just, you know.
He would say, never going to use that. And he would be looking at fishing stuff and trying to find ways to research fishing for an 8-hour day of school. Yeah. And I said, oh my. And they're like, all he does is talk about fish. And I'm like, I get it. I'm like, I get it. But then he expanded so fast, and he went and researched everything he could possibly get. So now I'm learning every day from him. And I feel lucky now that I have the best teacher, you know, that I could possibly, if I have a question, I say, hey, boom, I just ask him. Yeah. And I mean, I'm lucky enough I get to pre-fish with them.
It's funny because people talk about, oh, you need to learn history. Well, I'm learning history. Google Maps. Yeah. Google Maps. Here's the 10-year-old photos of the creek way back, you know. Oh, you need to learn geometry. Oh, well, here's my topographical map of the lake. Yeah. You know, I know where the depth and, you know, offset the sea, you know. Oh, I'm a master of electronics too, because I have a 12-inch fish finder that, you know, lets me see and do and tune. People don't realize. I mean, if they want to learn something, they're going to learn something.
And it's kind of funny when you said fish finder, because I now own Alex's old fish finder, and we went down, I think it was on Cato, and I'm looking at all these little things, and I said, hey, Alex, I have no idea what this means. And he goes, that's where all my spots are. And I said, really? And I said, so I just got to go to these spots and I'll catch. And he goes, mm-hmm. And he goes, I should have cleared that fish finder before giving it to you.
Hey, you can make
but when you talk about being out there and maneuvering that kayak, that's not always been so easy. Yeah. Like I said, I get off work and we go. I have moved. When he was 18, I moved right on a lake. So I live on a very big Army Corps lake. So I can go a minute down the road and get right on into the water. So it makes it nice now. So every moment we were obviously fishing. But he has put me on 4-foot waves on St. Clair and said, ooh, you better learn to do this real quick. And I was like, oh God. So sometimes I get pushed out of my comfort zone. Yeah. You know, but he knows when, you know, we were just in Florida and the water was rough at the one lake. And I said, you know what? I'm calling it quits. I said, this is rough. I said, this isn't my kind of fishing. And I know my limits. I mean, I know them. And he goes, I said, I'm going back to the car. You know, that kid took away from his pre-fishing and he took the 2-mile journey and he goes, I'm coming back with you. And I said, are you done? And he goes, no. And then he went right back out and he goes, I wasn't going to let you make the trip back. He goes, I could tell you were scared. Yeah. And so he's very competitive. As you guys know, he don't talk a lot.
He's focused. He's very focused.
He is.
But like you said, once we got to know him, then it was a whole different ball game, and that made it really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what you have to, I always say you have to talk to him first before he'll talk sometimes. And when he's zoned in, Kentucky was a little hard that day. I don't think that fishing was going he was fishing behind we know who.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he was very happy to see that person do as well as they did, but he was like, this ain't gonna work out for me today.
Yeah, I understand. I just want you guys to know what kind of harassment I'm going through right now. I sit here, pick up my phone. Of course, Gran called me, let me know that she was on the road on the way back, and I texted her saying, hey, we're on the air. If you need anything, just holler and I'll answer. But yeah, somebody else is still down in Florida sending me text messages. Let me zoom this in. Uh-huh. And so the running joke on Fishing with Gramps is Gramps can't catch a damn frogfish, right? 2 years I have missed frogfish left and right. It's just, I will be sitting between that one and Matt, and they're catching frogfish on both sides of me, and I'll have a fish come up, bite my frog, and just like, the good Lord has something in mind for me because of this stupid frog challenge that I've been on for the last couple of years. But so I get this text from Hoover. Where did it go? Did he share that in a group chat, Jeremy? Anyway,
Yeah.
I got this hog with the frog way down its throat. I'm like, you people. So yeah, show him the love. So I was sending him back a message of who we were on live with tonight. So yeah, him and Gene have been down in Florida still having some fun before they head back home. So what's the next event that you guys have coming up?
We leave in a week to go to Murray.
Okay.
We'll be down there. We'll do Lake Murray. I said this was the year I was going to take it serious.
Okay.
I was really going to put my foot down. Now, granted, I did on Sunday. I had that little relapse, and I went to the beach, and I was done.
Hey,
but
it's
that
Florida,
was that was a little relapse problem, and I'm going to get over that. Murray, I have fisheries that I feel I'm willing to fish. Florida is not a spot that I enjoy the weather. I don't enjoy the fishing.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just not my type of fishing. Murray seems like it's going to excel for me.
Yeah, there you go.
So
well, I mean, you're sitting up in the cold all winter long, and you're in Florida.
It was 87 degrees, and I said, if I have the sun and the heat and I'm not outside, I was a happy camper.
Yep.
So Murray seems to set up the way better. I think I'm going to have a lot more fun fishing Murray.
Okay.
If this turns into a dock deal, I'm not the best dock fisherman.
Okay.
Per se. I'm a better open water. I can fish Lake Erie, and I have said 9 out of 10 times I will beat Alex on Lake Erie.
Oh.
And I had my first 100-inch day on Erie, and I had 5 fish for 101 inches.
I don't think I've ever put up 100 inches in a month.
And I did it in one day. So I was like, yes. So I fish those big open waters.
Yeah.
For some reason, that is how I fish those well. So after we go to Murray, we will turn around. We'll go to Lake St. Clair up in April.
Yep.
Then we'll go to Lake George in New York, and then for KBF. And then we're going to take a little break from KBF. Not sure if we're going to go to Chickamauga or not. That seems to interfere, but we've decided to do the elite kayak up in the Northeast. So we're going to make the swing at that because that includes Champlain. I fished Champlain pretty darn well.
Okay.
It includes George, Cayuga, St. Lawrence River.
Ooh.
So we're going to make the swing up to the Northeast this year. But for right
So we had
now,
a question come in from Hook Life, who lives down here in southern Indiana. He says, Lynn, are you comfortable fishing water deeper than 12 feet?
I prefer it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
I like that. I like when we get that 24, 25-ish, 30 foot. I'm on it.
Now, what is your like preferred technique when you're fishing out there?
I have this weird yin and yang kind of with this Ned rig.
Okay.
And Alex will always say to me, I don't know how you're catching them on the Ned rig.
Yeah.
And he'll be throwing the Ned rig exactly the same. And he'll say, I don't know. Me and the Ned rig, I have this love relationship with it. And I fish it completely different. I move that Ned rig very slow, bouncing it.
Okay.
And it's just like a real slow retrieve. And I'll get distracted. I'll take a phone call. And it's nothing like, like where I'm sitting there, jerking it the whole time. So if I can stay on a Ned rig bite, that is my favorite fishing. Now, I must say, in Florida, I caught my first fish on a buzz bait.
Oh, okay.
And boy, was that fun. On day one, I caught all three on a buzz bait. And I was like, I'm catching on a buzz. They are really easy to catch on a buzz bait.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I was used to, the only other bait that I would always go to is a ribbit. And I was getting good at the ribbit, but I learned a whole technique of subsurfacing a ribbit because I was being lazy and, again, looking around at all my surroundings.
Yep.
And I'm like, it went down. And I was catching fish. So then I was like, oh, I should do this. But I have a hard time. I only do like that 50% land. So I get frustrated then. Right. And I'm like, oh. So last year I started the jig. And I was doing tubes and things like that. So this year I changed up everything. I got 8 rods on my boat now. Wow. Everything is devoted. And I was supposed to be practicing a lot more than I was. But I will
kind of hard to practice in the middle of winter, but I get what you're saying too.
I know. I was supposed to be practicing, and Alex sat for probably 2-3 years straight, and all you would hear would be ting, ting, and he would have that little thing, that little bucket set up, a little small circle, and he would cast into it, and he would try different angles. And a friend of ours said, I don't know how he can do it for the amount of hours he can. And I said, well, that's why he can skip under a dock and we can't.
Right. Yeah.
I said, he can put that bait exactly where he wants to without a doubt. And so to me, when I see a boat at a dock, I get nervous a little because I'm like, what if I would hit it? It makes me, I get a little nervous. So then I'll mess up a little bit. And how he tells me is just calm down. You'll be fine. Just cast it the way you normally cast it. So ever since I've stopped trying to fish the correct way, I just go out and do my own thing. And I tell people now, you know what? I know what I'm doing wrong. It's not a matter of I don't know. I prefer to do it this way. And it obviously works for me. So I do it.
That is awesome.
But it was so nice meeting you guys because it was like I said to Alex the first day, I was like, these guys are so cool. And he was like, who are they? And he went back to the Airbnb and I said, it's Fishing with Gramps, I think. And he looks up and he goes, he got a good following. And I said, oh, does he? And because I'm not the most tech savvy person, I'm not the Facebook person. Yeah, I'm not online ever. Yeah, I could care less. I'm whatever. It's not in my priorities. So, and then that's when we were talking, and then obviously we talked about a lot more that day. But it's about sharing. I always loved the sharing of the information. I don't think it. I think it helped people that are new.
Yep.
I don't think that's the no communication rule has taken that away from us.
Right.
But I think that's the best part, because if somebody can learn, we've been doing this since the beginning.
Yeah.
If somebody can learn from it, and say, hey, here's a couple little things that we learned in the beginning that would have changed, then why not do it?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think the information sharing thing, like at the when you're doing the top trail stuff, I get that, because then you don't have like a team thing going if there's not a team event going on. But for like all your local derbs and your state challenges and just even like pre-fish, we were all just like, because you know how it is. You could literally know what somebody else is throwing. If that's not your technique, you're going to have your thing regardless,
Exactly.
It's like, how many people bought rattle traps because we heard about this magic rattle trap bite, and then we're all out there catching drum, and I think we got snookered.
Yeah. And I can sit and watch Alex throw, and I'm like, wait a minute. And I'll throw into the exact same spot, and he'll say, okay, there are 3 fish on a bed right there. And I'm like, how am I even going to get it? And I'll get so frustrated, and he'll give me a half hour of practice, and then first cast, he has the fish, and I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, but I just take the small gains, and I always say, just go out, and once it's no longer fun for me, believe me, I'm not going to be going out.
No, I got you.
And that's what I feel. It's all about having fun out there.
Yeah. So you guys are going to be at the St. Clair before you dip off into the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Jeremy and I have never been up there, and I keep saying we need to go just to go fish. And, especially with all those monster smallies up there. So shoot, we need to look at you.
St. Clair is good. I'm a little nervous about St. Clair this year. Yeah. I think the time of year, it's actually on Alex's birthday, April 16th.
Yeah. I was going to say it's a little early for up north.
Yeah. And I say St. Clair can become a beast of her own.
Yeah.
And I know we were out there 2-3 years ago, and we're out there 2-3 miles, and Coast Guard comes up to us and they say, you do know there's an impending storm and it's like 30 knots or something. You guys need to get in now. I was so scared. And when I say about those waves, we were trying, it wasn't last year, it was the year before. So 2 years ago at the St. Clair event, we were launching our boats and the waves were coming straight over the tops of our head.
Oh, hell no.
And I'm sitting there shaking. And I said to Alex, Alex, how am I going to launch? And he goes, you see in between those breaks of those waves? He goes, you got one chance. And he goes, when one comes in, he goes, you literally got to jump in and just go. I was like, oh, I'm dying today.
Yeah.
I'm dying today.
Nope.
And I'll tell you what, I did it. And I get out there and I was like, oh my God, I did it on the first try. I was so happy. And then I got out there and I'm like, okay, this is not going to be a fun day. No. And I think I lasted till about noon. And Alex got a call saying somebody had tipped. And he then right away, we have our phones just because I'll say, let's just do an every 2-hour checkup. I like to do the safety check still. And he called me and he said, did you flip? And I said, no, why? He goes, somebody flipped out there and I thought it was you. And I said, no, it wasn't me, but I'm going in.
Yeah. It's time to go.
Now, St.
Yeah,
Clair,
I mean, I'm not that dude who's going to play anything sketch, weather, snow, rain. I don't care what tournament I'm in. If it starts pouring down rain or whatever, it's like, I'm done. If it's not fun, then I ain't doing it. I do the tournaments just more or less to meet new people, have some fun doing it, give me an excuse to go chase some bigger fish. But for me, it's all about the, sure, would it be cool to have one of those big black checks sitting back up here one day just to say, oh, I got lucky one day. Look what happened. But hey, so be it. I mean, for me, that little green board that I'm waiting on to come in from catch is going to be that trophy.
Exactly.
And for me, the biggest, if I do big tournaments again, I like the national championship. I had a blast at it. Will I go do a trail event someday? Probably, just because we may have friends that go, and we go end up spending, a week camping at some awesome, place to do it. Kind of like when you guys were down in Florida, stuff like that too. So I can see myself in the future taking and carving some time out and doing stuff like that just to go hang out with you guys at the campground. Like you said, you're going down there trying to catch a monster fish. Why not? I mean, I told Jeremy, I said, after watching everybody in Florida, I said, next year, I said, I want to go. It wasn't so much about the tournament itself. It's just being there where everybody's there, and the big bass the big bass are really on bite. And I just want to go get some of that. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it is addictive. Now, going back to St. Clair, is if you get on that water, you will fall in love.
Yeah.
If you block out the wind and the cold weather and all the other things around it and just look down at the water, if you can block everything else, it reminds you that you're in the Caribbean. Water is that beautiful. I've never seen water that pretty in my life. Yeah. So when I get out there, I'm like, oh, this is what it's all about. And I mean, the smallmouth are there.
And that's what I'm saying too. I want to go hook into one of them bigger smallmouth just because that would be a blast.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we've always gone over the 20-inch mark. I don't think we've ever gone there, and neither one of us have gotten over the 20-inch mark.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I need that weather perfect.
Yeah, I hear you there.
I don't think April's going to do it, but we're going.
Yeah, I mean, we went to Kentucky Lake and launched in 29-degree weather, so
we'll do it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, last year down in Florida, I mean, it was like polar opposites. Last year, I was going around to every store trying to find gloves and a hat. And in Florida, they don't sell those things.
Oh, no.
And I ended up getting a hat for $40, just little tassel cap. And I got these gloves. God only knows what they were. They didn't even work. And I said, we were so cold last year. And I said, oh, I'm just enjoying this year. So, I mean, I think Florida's my favorite because it's the winter event, but it's not my favorite for fishing. I would go to Champlain. Champlain was my favorite. Champlain and up in Connecticut. I liked those two places. Those were my absolute favorite places to fish.
That sounds so awesome.
Interesting.
And of course, our home, Lake Erie.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
Jeremy's like, we got to go see Alex and Lynn when the smallies responded. Just to, I was like, oh.
It is, and not only that is he has another little lake down here, and he has now zoned that lake into on the smallies in there, where he can go out and hit 3 spots. And last year he put up 105 inches on smallmouth in less than an hour. And he can just go in, boom, hit them. And he can do it day after day after day after day. And I'm like, how are you doing this?
He just got his world tuned in, yeah.
But the smallmouth there during the spawn, I would have to say, are just as fun as Lake Erie. Lake Erie, you'll get the bottle rockets of them jumping, 20 feet out of the air, it feels like, and the whole fight. But this can get just as fun, and they're not very far apart either, but you need to come up here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Smallies, yeah, that's going to be good. Oh, I can't wait. I was sitting here thinking, you was talking about Alex, when he was casting into a little cup. I do that every day.
You know what? That's what he told me I should be doing. And I'm like, I feel like a fool doing that. And he's like, no, that's the way you got to do it. And why I have this new bait caster. And I said, Alex, I don't have accuracy with this. I can't really, I've gotten much better with the spinning reels. And I can pretty much put that where I want it. If I want to put it somewhere, I'm going to cast it to exactly where I want it. That baitcaster's a whole new deal.
Yeah.
And I said, it may go within a 10 feet radius of where I wanted to put it.
But I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of people that have picked up spinning reels and just fished them their whole career. And you see a lot of people skip with them. Like I drive Jeremy nuts sometimes because I can literally skip anything anywhere with the baitcaster, whereas he can pitch a jig wherever he wants it.
Yeah.
And it's just, everybody's got their, how they get their bait where they want it, and how they're willing to practice it. But it makes it fun though. I mean, but you just kind of get used to, but it's like the whole trend there where people are like, oh, get the baitcaster that's left-handed model because that's how you should have learned in the first place. Whoa. I picked up that Zebco for the first time in the 70s. I'm not changing anything.
That's what I always say. I'm like, if I'm catching fish the way I'm doing it, Alex, why should I change?
Yeah.
And it goes, so that you don't get weird looks out there. And I said, you know what? Let them give me a weird look, maybe be a conversation starter. Yeah. And I said, and I'll tell them this is the reason why. And, and it was
when you hold the bass up and say, oh yeah, it still works.
Yeah. I mean,
here's your weird look.
Well, down in Florida, we pre-fished with Anthony Winkleman, who was in the 10 this year. He was also in the 10 with Alex. And I said, I'm going to just tell you right now. And I did the same thing with Gene Jensen. I said, I'm going to warn you right now. This is how I fish. So please, I know the correct way. I'm just choosing not to do it. And Gene looks at me and goes, I don't care. Whatever works, works.
Yeah, Gene, yep.
Just tell Gene, I tried watching your videos. Is this how you do the spinning reel? Oh, Lord.
But you know what? And that's why I said the only person that was really on years and years ago was Chad, just starting out. And I can actually remember Alex saying, oh, God, if I met Chad Hoover. And it's kind of funny how we're all now, we do take it for a second. And it brought me back in Florida because I saw this little kid come up to Chad and he said, can I have your autograph? And I just stepped back and I smiled and I said, we are a lucky group of people.
Yeah.
We are an extremely lucky group of people because we're taking for granted everything that this information that we all have at our fingertips. Yep. And we would all do for each other.
Yep. 100%.
If you said, hey, we're in there, it's a community. And I think that's what it's all about.
Well, I mean, and to her point, and I know this is not what she's getting at, but she just, out of the kindness of their hearts, gave my brother Jeremy a piece of equipment that's going to be life-changing.
Oh, no.
For him this season, coming up in the future. And, it's just little things like that because, that's this community. I mean, it really is the fact that, that we share information, gear, technology, things like that too. I mean, it's just an incredible community.
You hear about, I know the funeral fund that was up, and I forget the gentleman's name. This community will come out and do. You may not know that person, but it is, and that's what I like about it. That if something, God forbid, I mean, when, I don't know if you guys were back in it on this days, Rebecca Golden was the woman of kayak fishing several years ago. And my God, and I remember sitting, and we would always fish together when we were out on the trails, and she would always be there and would, gab around and talk. And we did, KBF had a series come up to Lake Erie, and myself and Rebecca Golden are sitting there fishing. Literally, our boats are next to each other. And she goes, do you mind? I said, no, I'm enjoying the company. And Dave Lefevre was fishing this event. And I catch a 22-inch smallmouth.
What?
And it was hysterical because I had not joined the tournament. It was
Oh.
hysterical. And Rebecca's like, well, you're showing them, aren't you? Those were the days that sometimes I'd go and not join. And yeah, I learned my lesson that day. But she was like, and from, then watching her, I was like, oh, so women really can fish doing, like, you guys aren't like a joke out here. Because I thought it was more a men's sport.
Right.
And, God rest her soul, Rebecca was taken from us, in a KBF tournament. She passed away in a KBF tournament. And I said, but she opened the door, I feel, to the women. I feel she was the pioneer for the women.
There you go.
That's
what. Well, I mean, and until you have, the ladies coming out, and that's so much why I wanted to get you on. It's just not a mom thing, but you being a lady angler yourself now, just learning it as you go out of the love for your son, and then finding joy in the sport and the outdoors yourself. You know what I mean? So
and being really good at it.
Well, you can always find something out there. You can be having bad fishing, but there always has to be one thing out there, whether it's the new scenery that you're seeing. I was out there. I had a great time in Florida because I was seeing more animals than I could possibly, I couldn't believe the cows walk with us I was FaceTiming everybody. I'm like, guys, look, there's the cows in the water with me.
Wow.
So it's, we got to see peacocks. I saw wild flamingos. So these were all things that I don't see at home. So I was just taking in everything that we do. And every time we go someplace, you either meet somebody like you guys. I thought Kentucky was going to be, here goes the boring old Kentucky again. It's not my favorite place to be.
Right.
and I'm not a good one to fish in the cold either. Right. And they were
I'm out there in like a long sleeve shirt, and everybody else looked like Eskimos and gloves, and Jeremy with his electric jacket on. Yeah. Everybody look at me like I'm insane. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm the polar bear. I'm good here.
Oh, come on, though. But we had 4 hours on you guys at a launch?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I should have stayed at your Airbnb with you guys and did the later launch, because I had to be there 4 hours before you guys got there, and I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna die.
Oh yeah, we definitely weren't in a hurry to be, in no competition. Yeah. We were hitting the water 2 hours after everybody else, after making a nice good sized breakfast, making sure the sun was nice and up,
But you still kick butt. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, it was amazing. I mean, two of the three of you made it in the top 100.
Yeah.
So that, to me, that was like, and I was so excited because I went back to the Airbnb and I said, Alex, they're going to make the top 100. I'm like, they're going to make the top 100. And he's like, oh, okay. And I said, you don't understand. That's the goal. That's the dream.
That is us winning.
Really? And he goes, well, I'm really excited that they made the dream. And I said, that's what it's about, Yeah.
And for us, that was 100% just, shooting the long shot,
It was
it was such an awesome event. And again, we were there to kind of stargaze and meet everybody and, just kind of experience the whole thing, because Jeremy had up to that point had only done like some state challenges and and then I had done some local
one state challenge.
Is that all you did?
Yeah, he did Mayhem, and that's how he qualified.
Wow.
He caught a fish as the sun was going down to pass two people to get into the last slot in Mayhem, and it was awesome because I was watching the scoreboard all day. I had been in and out back there with him, but I caught some fish early in the day. And so around noon, before my kayak tried to sink on me, I caught the fish that I needed to put me into the top 12. Yep. So I knew I was pretty safe. But Jeremy and some others were still duking it out. And with the sun going down, he catches the fish he needs to pass the guy to claim the 15th place in the state to qualify for the Natty. So it was an awesome day. But, I mean, Jeremy sent me that picture that Matt took of him, I think, of him holding that fish with the sun setting behind him, and it's like, there it is.
There.
I mean,
and then I end up down there with a cheering squad because you guys came out. You and Matt came and was cheering from the little
the little
like
thing.
This is so cool. You guys can watch me catch them.
Yeah, and that's what made the day, because I was technically supposed to be out filming because Alex had all this technical difficulty that his cameras weren't working right, or his battery, something would happen with the battery. It wasn't going to, and he goes, I need the video. And he's like, I'll need you to follow to video. And I said, sometimes that don't work out too well either.
Yeah.
Because again, here's me getting distracted. Oh, look at that. And I get bored with that real quick.
Yeah.
So I said, I absolutely love sitting there and watching those fish be caught.
That was a blast. So we had a comment come in from Cool Granddaddy Sweets Forever. Said he's been listening in silence while cooking and just couldn't stay silent. My mom was my fishing teacher, and it's been like I've been listening to her all over again, bringing so many memories of the lady I miss. Thank you so much. So yes, Cool Daddy, thank you so much for sharing that with us. But it's funny because, sometimes it's those little things in life that remind us of those, those grandmas and moms that we have, our angels up above that, still to this day, I can't go throughout a spring without seeing a daffodil pop up without thinking of our sweet mama too. So it's just one of those things. But man, Lynn,
well, you know what I always say, that if you go out and fish with your kid, you're getting a bonding where they don't think you're talking to them. And at that age, they don't want to be around you and talk to you anyway.
Right.
But it makes it so that it's something different.
Yep.
You get a relationship, and your kid's not on video games. Now, I'm not going to say my child does not play video games. Believe me, he does.
We play video games.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a whole thing. But his life never revolved around it. Yeah, he always wanted to fish, and he wanted to do this. And it really kept my kid on the straight and narrow, I feel. Yeah. It gave him a goal that was never going to. So I feel even if you take them out, and how I started is I always thought, don't take them to a big lake where it's hard to catch. Let them catch 100, 150 bluegill, crappie. Take them places like that where it's fun.
Exactly.
And I made it about, we would have and to this day, we still have the little booklet somewhere where we would write down little tally marks of how many fish we caught. And then we would tally them up and say, who caught more? And the first day he got 100 fish in a day.
Wow.
And I mean, these were lakes that were going to do this. And I mean, we're talking little crappie and bluegill like this big. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
But it was that. And I think that's what started the loves but you got to be committed, like you got to say, I'm going to do it. You got to be all in.
It's funny how, he fell in love with it because you took him out, and then you fell in love with it because it was a great way to spend time with your son.
Yeah.
So that is again, like I said, when we met you guys, I mean, I was like, this story, it was just because I was telling you about, what the channel, what I was doing and everything. And, we're there, but we're there for more for fun and to fish and to meet people. And yeah, it's a pipe dream to come do the stuff and things. But, just meeting all you guys down there. I mean, again, even with just meeting you guys, no matter where we finished, we knew we wanted to go do it again. And if our drive then was to make the 100 again next time, it wasn't even so much that fact as it was just meeting cool people and wanting to meet more new cool people, because not just meet, we always talk about, the superstars of the sport and whatnot, but like, meeting you and Alex and have no clue who Alex was when you were telling us. And it's like, I hope she doesn't, he's like, we don't know. We're just new at this. And so for us, you were the superstar of the person we meet, everybody that saw us talking to you probably thought we're talking to you because of Alex, but it was really the other way around. We're talking to Alex because we met his cool ass mom.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, you know what? He always used to joke. He goes, "I think they talk to you first to see what information you'll give to them." My information, and I always go, "No, I don't think so, Alex." I said, "I'm more talkative than you are."
And we didn't talk much about fishing while we was talking.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
but I mean, I just thought it was a cool thing. And one of the other guys we met was a young Army veteran, Marine Corps veteran, and he turned out to be from Valparaiso, Indiana. And the cool thing about this and getting to know Joe while we were down there, after we got back, of course, you probably heard us of talking about, Catch 22, because I know you and Alex were doing that down there. Well, Joe actually won one of the bona fides that Chad gave away.
Oh my.
So it's like, we know one of the dudes who's, so Joe's going to get to go down to the headquarters and pick that up in the springtime and then go fishing with Chad too. So, we're all about talking about Catch 22 like all the time because we feel such an integrated part into that last year because it was for, Wounded Warriors. And this year is for Heroes on the Water, which we all love. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's just such a cool
Now,
are you
going to do the ambassador? Are you guys doing the ambassador one done in Guntersville?
No, we don't. I don't know when we plan on traveling down. For Jeremy and I both, I'm still working. He's still dealing with crap from the VA. So probably after another year or so, we'll be a little more free to go move and do more things. Jeremy's just waiting for some stuff from the VA to come through. And so he's kind of staying close. Plus he's got a daughter that's still in high school. So he's focused on,
understandable.
So we're kind of keeping it closer to home this year. We will be down at Chad's sometime at Ditto Point probably in the spring to go down and hang out and try to chase. They want me to catch a frogfish, to try to chase some fish. And then we'll go down again in the fall when they have the Heroes Cup that we're going to do on Veterans Day. So outside of that, we'll probably be traveling around the Midwest a little bit. Even if we don't do a ton of fishing, when you guys are up at St. Clair, I want to go up there at least for a day just to see and, experience it because it's only 5 hours from us. I never realized it was that close of a drive.
Yeah, if it's only 5 hours.
Yeah.
I would get up there. I mean, even if the weather is this much cooperating, try to get out those kayaks. Just go get it onto one. And you just follow the people and follow them boats and you'll know exactly where to be.
So here's what's funny. Now, I don't know if you followed my escapades to Florida this winter. So I grew up, my dad was in the Army. Jeremy and I traveled all over the world. I was born in Georgia. He was born in Virginia. My sister in Washington. He was made in Japan. We lived in Germany when we were kids. So we've lived everywhere. In all of my travels, and then I enlisted and have traveled all over everywhere. I realized a couple of years ago, I was talking to my mom before she passed about all the places that I visited and the states that I hadn't. And there were 2 states remaining in the whole entire 50 United States. One of them was Florida.
How did you do that?
Here's what makes it worse. I was stationed in Atlanta for 3 years. Never went down to Florida to fish.
Oh my God.
So this Christmas, my wife and I flew down to Tampa to spend Christmas with my daughter. I'll let you guess which week we went down there.
Oh, was it the week that they had the snow?
Christmas weekend, 26 degrees. I'm out there in one of the canals with a pole that I picked up at Bass Pro Shop. Just brrr. I caught one fish. It was about this big.
But it didn't matter, huh?
I caught a Florida bass, dang it.
That's right.
I scratched that state off. Would you like to guess which single remaining state in the entire United States is left on my map?
Which is it?
Michigan.
Well, we will change that in April.
Literally right north of me. Now, here's what's funny. My dad, when he was in the National Guard after he got off active duty, they would go up there for his summer camps, but I was working a farm and then I enlisted and left after that. So I'm going to the bucket list stuff is going to be taken care of this year.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, Even if you come up pre-fishing the day,
Yeah.
like the day before, look at the weather when it is.
Yep.
We know a spot where you don't even have to go out very far. I'm talking like 20 feet from the bank.
Hey.
And
I'm in on that.
It's a guarantee to kind of catch some fish. They may not be the biggest, but we've got some big ones out of there.
Yep.
You let us know. We'll take you out.
Oh yeah, definitely going to come up for that. So, you know, I finally upgraded. I got my trailer where I could put 2 on it side by side and the third on the top. So Jeremy and I figure we're going to be traveling around at least a little more this year. And then in the future, we really plan on getting out and going and meeting and filming and fishing with everybody just to kind of share what it is we love so much about this sport. Outside of all the tournaments and stuff like that, we want to do Catch 22 in a whole bunch of different states. So
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there's the man himself right there. If you come up to LSC during pre-fishing, I'll put you on some tanks.
Man,
Jeremy, I think that's the weekend of your birthday.
Well, wait a minute. That's the tank in his picture, I think, is from St. Clair.
Oh my goodness.
So
that's one of those monsters from up there.
It's a monster.
Wow.
So Jeremy, we might have to go do that as a birthday trip for you, because
that would be cool.
So when's your birthday, Jeremy?
April 20th.
You know what? We're just gonna have at my Airbnb, we'll have a birthday party. We'll have it for you and Alex. His is the 16th. We're gonna have a birthday bash. We're gonna go out and catch some fish.
That would be so awesome.
We're gonna do it. It is a plan. And
there we go.
You know what? I feel it now. We're going to be blessed with some good weather.
Excellent.
That works for me.
I may be sitting on the side again.
you just point us over there. Just
to
over
the
there.
Shore.
And like I said, you would die to see the bass and how many you can catch.
That's awesome.
It is phenomenal. That's what we always laugh. Either Alex is way on or way off on St. Clair. There's kind of no medium for him because he knows where those fish are. We've been there enough. So he'll get you on some good fish. It'll be a fun day.
In fishing at his level, I mean, you're after the tanks. I mean, it's you have to get what you got to get to compete. Whereas, you know, hey, we'll be happy to just go put some fish on the board for Catch 22 and have fun chasing some smallies. So 100%, but that would be a blast.
Well, you know, 4 years ago at St. Clair is when KBF used to have their roll downs. So you could, if the people in front of you had already qualified for the championship, it would roll down at, you know, those times. So I fished St. Clair and I was determined. I want to go to the national championship. I don't want to be that person that just has to sit on the sidelines. That was a goal of mine. I want to go. So I fished it really hard and I came in 11th place. And I looked at it and I said, I'm out. I didn't make it. And I think there were 6 people that were going to be qualified because I don't know, is there 10? Whatever it was, I thought I was going to miss it by 1. Oh. And I remember I sat around Matt Ball, Alex, somebody else. There was a big group of us all sitting there. And they call out the names of the people. And Matt looked at me. Matt Ball goes, "You got this, Lynn." And I was like, I'm never going to do it. And he goes, "You got it." Well, one of them had already qualified, so I got their roll down.
There you go.
And that is where I qualified for my very first national championship was on St. Clair.
Awesome.
Yeah, I tell you what, in 24, the NC being down around Gunnersville area, oh, I can't wait for some of that.
That is, well, it was Gunnersville that put Alex into the 10 house.
Yeah.
He had to fish Gunnersville, and it was, we laughed about it because he was 16 when he had gone there the first time. He had gone to Florida and then went to Gunnersville. But when we pulled up in Gunnersville, he didn't tell me he was sick.
Yeah.
And he's out there, and I said, "You should go over there." And he goes, "That's a long paddle." Meanwhile, it was like maybe 100 yards. And I looked at him and I said, "What's wrong?" And I touched him, and the kid was burning up. And he goes, but I didn't want to go home.
Oh.
And I said, but you're sick. And he did the tournament and he didn't catch a fish. So he kept on saying, I don't want to go to Gunnersville because I don't like Gunnersville. You know, that I didn't even catch a fish. Well, that's the place to put him back in the 10.
Man. Could you imagine being his age, though, you know, at 16 years old? And I'm sure you remember this because it was all paddle kayaks. I don't even think they had a pedal kayak.
No.
You know, that might have been something that was just starting back then.
They did, because I remember he actually was it. No, Drew's wasn't even a pedal, because I remember, and I have a picture to this day, that he demoed Drew's kayak. That was the Jackson Sexy Shad that just came out, and it wasn't a pedal, and they were all standing on it, and it was like, it was the Cadillac of Cadillacs of the kayaks, and you were like, oh, wouldn't you love to have that? And now here we are with everybody got motors and you got the pedal. I mean, you get somebody with a pedal and a motor going at you, you're going to have to really keep up with them.
And now watching you guys bust around in the Torpedoes with the 1103s on them, just
I'll tell you what, those 1103s, I wish I had an 1103. He does, but those 1103s are unbelievable. Like, they go. And I said, I was happy with my little trolling motor that I had for years. And when Alex said to me, you can't do that. And I said, watch me. And then everybody started doing it. And I said, see, I was starting the trend of this back then.
Yeah, it's like they were talking about in the comments. They were saying we didn't have John boats back when we were 16 Gramps, and I was like, "Yo, we had John boats, and those were wooden John boats." Yeah. I remember my Uncle Harold almost beating the bottom out of one because a snake fell into it.
Yeah, you had to paddle those. I mean,
I mean, it was row your boat for sure. Oh my goodness! I tell you what, we could do this for hours, but I've got Gran on her way back with the babes. And I probably need to get the dogs and everything straightened up before they get home. But I tell you what, I can't thank you enough. I'm so glad we were able to get you on tonight because I really wanted this story told. And, you know, because everybody that's in the chat tonight, they know when we talk about a fishing family, fishing community, that's truly what we are. And, you know, Jeremy, Matt, and many others and I have taken just showing people what we really love and why we love kayak fishing so much and why it can really work for everybody, no matter how you fish, you know, but we don't care. As long as you're out fishing, having a good time, sharing that love, man, that's all that matters.
Well, the gift was me meeting both of you guys. Actually the three of you that day. We feel very lucky to have met you guys.
Well, we'll see you in April.
Yes, you sure will.
We will.
My Uncle Mark.
And I'm going to hold you guys to this. So it's a plan. We're going to talk off and we are setting this up.
Most definitely. Yep. I see my Uncle Mark is on Facebook tonight following along, and he posted up here, remember the time that my mom fell out of a John boat. Does not surprise me whatsoever. We grew up living near the White River here in southern Indiana. So when I say they grew up there. Me and Jeremy traveled all over the world, and we ended up back here with the family as we were, you know, going through junior high and high school. But so we were river rats when we were younger, and that's kind of really where we got started with our grandfather Burl. It was just awesome. But Lynn, I'm going to let you get out of here. Be respectful of your time. I'm still a big fan. Saw you caught some fish in Florida. It's that 16-incher on the board. We was watching to see what you guys were doing, but
yep.
I can't wait to see you guys again in St. Clair. Be the perfect place to do it because, hey, why not?
Why not?
Yep. And tell Alex I said hi.
I absolutely will.
All right.
All right, guys.
All right, everybody. Thanks for popping in. Oh, wait. Nope. I'm going to let these two go. I did promise that we would do a giveaway tonight. So let them drop back and chit chat. And I will go ahead and get a StreamYard tab going because it's been a minute since I've actually done this before everybody gets out of here. And what was, I got to remember my own giveaway tool that I taught everybody else how to use. There we go. So let's see. What is tonight's hashtag going to be? It's going to be hashtag Lynn. So I am going to pull this up and I will share that screen. Present. Share screen. Make sure you see. Man, it's been a minute, hasn't it, since I've done a giveaway. Not that screen. I am such a dork. See, I'm rusty. Don't know what I'm doing. Remove from stream. I need to. What do I need to do? Not that. I need a Chrome tab, don't I? Oh, they changed it a little bit. That's what's throwing me. Oh, okay. Let's do a share there, and then we can get back over. All right, so everybody, hashtag Lynn. I have got a Monster Bass box full of goodies back here that I put together, and I will ship out a lucky winner. It's going to be loaded with a lot of the goodies that we love to get from our friends over at Monster Bass. We got 40 people in here and only 15 entries. Let's go hashtag Lynn. Let's get this drawing going, and then I will let you guys get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your night. And I am going to be watching some movies with the grandbabes. We're just going to chill and have a good night. All right, we're over 22 entries. Let's get it to 25, and then I will draw tonight's winner. All you got to do when you win tonight is email me at fishingwithgramps@gmail.com, and I'll walk you through a process of verifying who you are. If I know who you are already, because you've been a Fishing Fan member for a long time, boom, we got 26. 3, 2, 1, let's draw. Tonight's winner is... Boom, boom, boom. Who's going to be? The Peg Leg Fisherman. Woo, woo. All right, so let me see if I remember how to do this. Do I still have any banners set up? Yep, sure do. If you would, please email me, fishingwithgramps@gmail.com. I'll walk you through a quick process to verify who you are. I'm an IT cybersecurity guy, so my way is pretty foolproof, and we will do that. But again, thank you, everybody, for popping in tonight. I love streams like this because I love meeting and hanging out with cool people. Everybody knows that is just what I love. I'm going to break it off, let you guys get out of here tonight. Again, as always, thank you. Every member, every donation. That reminds me, speaking of donations, it is February. Every year we do our bait drive. We drive for those used baits to build those veteran care packages that Jeremy and Matt and I hand out to people. If you have leftover baits this month, this is the month to do it, because that gives us time before spring gets here to sort all the stuff, package it up, and put it in the tackle boxes to have rods, reels, and things like that ready for people. So if you have those leftover baits we've been talking about all winter long that you want to send in and donate, down in the description of this video, you scroll all the way to the bottom about the bait drive, you will see my address. I'm not going to say it here. I'm not going to post it here because bots like to do their thing. Go find my address, send me your leftover power baits, your leftover worms, whatever. It's still usable. If it's, 6 left in a pack of 10, we'll definitely put it to good work. I thank you all for your love, your support, your charity, everything you do. Man, you guys are amazing. Get in the Catch 22 program or the Catch 22 challenge this year. I posted a bunch of videos about it. Again, if you have any questions, drop a comment on any of those videos. Hit me up a DM on Instagram. I don't care. I will do, and people will tell you in the chat that I've been answering questions, anything that you guys have. As always, again, thank you. Get outside when you can. Make those memories. As you've seen it right here tonight, those memories laugh a lot. They last a lifetime. And in this case, it's actually building a career. But get out, make those memories one cast at a time. Love you guys. Peace.